tradition this day and age to read any good news on the newspaper page. And love and tradition of the grand design, some people say, is even harder to find.
All right, we're ready to roll, guys. It's just the three amigos today. All things real estate. We can't even call ourselves Five Guys Podcast anymore.
The three property bros.
Yeah, three guys.
Dude, why you guys are stuck on that property, bros?
I don't like the property bros. I like five guys, one house.
Yeah.
Three guys, five guys in a backyard. You know, something.
All right, well, I'm going to jump right into some quick market stats because we are entering the time of year when things slow down, right? And as we've talked about all year long, inventory historically low. It's not going to change. So right now we've got 654 active homes in Santa Clara County, 410 condos and townhomes. That's crept up a little bit. The number of properties going into contract is slowing down, right? And we see this every time of year, or every time this year. So between now and the end of the year, I still think it's a great opportunity for buyers that are in the marketplace. I know, you recently got a property into contract for over $200,000 under the asking price. Mm-hmm. So there's definitely some opportunities to be had right now. And then also, last couple of days, mortgage rates have dropped by quite a bit. And quite a bit, I mean by 1/4 to 3/8 of a point, which any relief there is going to help increase the affordability and the amount of financing that buyers can qualify for. So if you're a buyer and you're looking to buy, still a good time between now and the end of the year. Once we get into February of next year, we'll see that seasonal inventory creep up. But I do believe that 2024, which is almost here, it's going to be more of the same of this year, right? Real limited inventory. Rates are going to stay high most of next year, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and for sellers who are looking to sell right now, if they need to sell right now and put their home on the market, they, like you said, they just need to be aware that this is a slower time of the year. So if your home doesn't sell in 30 days, it's okay to keep it on a little longer. We've seen properties come off and sell within 60 days, 75 days. Your situation, $200,000 under asking, is phenomenal. But I've seen other homes at 60 days on the market and they get out asking. Mm-hmm. So
it's possible. I do recommend, though, if you roll into first week of December, you've had your home on the market for a month or so. At that point, I'd probably take it off and then put it back on in January. Mm-hmm. And the reason for that is because when you are off market for 30 days, then your days on market resets, right? So that way it's a fresh listing, goes into everybody's search feed when you put it back on January 1st versus it just getting kind of stale and sitting around there.
You think there's a difference between the month of January to the month of February when it comes to listing in the next year? Or
historically, they always called the kickoff to the selling season the week after the Super Bowl. For whatever, which is usually first week of February. So for whatever reason, when we look historically on when inventory starts to climb, it's always right after Super Bowl. So I'm not sure if it's just the husbands not wanting to pack up their TVs for the game or what it is, but typically every year. So I typically, in fact, I just took a listing last week and we decided to wait till first week of February.
Do you think that by the time we get to February 2024 that we will see prices, with the increase in inventory, do we see prices going back up to where they are now? Or do we think that with the interest rates at where they're at, do you see even at the start of February going until the end of 2024 kind of being the same?
I just think for the between now and the end of the year and the first quarter of next year, prices are going to be flat.
Okay.
Right? Our prices this time of year can swing by 8 to 10%, right? But if you look at, and I'll use San Jose as an example, even though interest rates are at an 20-year, 25-year high, inventory is at an all-time low, the median price of a home in San Jose actually increased 10% from October of this year to October of last year. So everyone's hearing on the news, everyone's leaving California, the market, the real estate market's going to crash and all that stuff. We're up 10% year over year.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And like we mentioned earlier about that property, and like you got $200,000 under asking. Mm-hmm. I had the conversation with the buyer earlier this week, and it's like, listen, if you have any interest in any property on the market right now, like pursue it. Let the other side tell you no. Like, don't just halt your process because you think the price is unattainable. Mm-hmm. People and sellers are accepting an incredibly low amount of under asking
price
offers. It's crazy.
Absolutely. The people that are out there right now selling are truly motivated because it's the holiday season. A lot of buyers are, putting the brakes on their search. They're traveling or the rates are too high. So especially the first-time home buyer market that's very sensitive to the interest rate it's unaffordable for them for making the debt to income and all of those ratios. So they are really holding out. So sellers right now that are out there are selling due to some sort of a life event. So that's why all my buyers, I'm letting them know that, hey, if you have to stop, I fully understand, but typically this is the best time to get in the market when everyone else is stopping.
Yeah, but what's interesting contrast to that is that in other pockets, still super hot. Aaron and I did open house in Santa Clara this weekend on a home that I won't say the address, but it's a home in Santa Clara that I would think in a market with more inventory, it would probably get left in the dust because there's some odd things about it. We had 80 groups through the open house in 2 days, and we're going to get multiple offers tomorrow. And this is at about a $2 million price point. So it's still very zip code neighborhood specific, and then price range specific as well, right? I mean, we are seeing some of the stuff 4 to 6 million sitting, some significant price reductions. But again, it's area dependent.
I fully agree on the area dependency. Just based off of this last month, we had a property that I put on the market that we're taking off and now going to relist at the start of the next year. But when it comes down to looking at kind of just the financials behind that property and what someone would pay to be where they're at, I think a lot of people with how high that mortgage is, they feel more comfortable spending that in areas where there is a level or there is a higher population of people and activities to do in the area. I don't want to just name specific cities, obviously, but I think the farther out you go, I think people tend to want to stay on a cheaper payment per month.
For sure.
But then areas, and I've been saying this since the beginning of the year, I think Santa Clara is a black sheep of this entire valley. I don't know how price points even stay where they are. I don't know how they keep going up. Yeah. But certain areas like that, people are okay spending that money because they know it's 10 minutes to work, 5 minutes to their school.
Yeah.
Their kids can go out in the middle of the day and night to do stuff. So that is a very, yeah.
And that being said, I mean, it's mostly single families that we are still seeing this steady or high activity. And when you compare the inventory levels of townhomes and condos from earlier this year, they have almost doubled. That means that first-time home buyer subset of buyers, they have stopped because that's what most of these people go for, these townhomes and condos. So that's where a great opportunity lies. I mean, I'm seeing a great reduction of prices from what the comp suggested earlier this year. Like even 3 months out, townhomes and condos have sold for significantly more than what they're selling for right now.
Yeah, no, definitely. Since you guys are newer in the business, I'm going to ask you a question and see if you know what this means. Eminent domain.
Yes.
Do you know what that means, G?
Yes. It means when the government steps in and takes your property for public use.
Yeah.
And this is
perfect definition.
This is actually very common in multiple different countries other than the United States. They have this facilitated in Canada, New Zealand, Ireland, the UK, and Australia.
Well, thank you. Actually, great definition and great expansion on it. I'm going to talk about eminent domain in Santa Clara County because there is a case right now. And, by the way, this has not happened in decades. Fist bump, look proud of yourselves, pat on the back. So imagine this. Imagine you work hard all your life. You grow up in a home with no backyard. You start a small business. You end up becoming successful in that business. And you have your heart set on building your dream home on a 5-acre parcel of land. So there's a gentleman. His name, I believe, is Edgar Andrade. He purchased 5 acres 2 years ago in Coyote Valley. Now, for you guys not familiar with Coyote Valley, it's actually just kind of in my backyard. So, South San Jose takes Santa Teresa all the way down to where it curves towards Morgan Hill. And he bought 5 acres right off of Santa Teresa before it turns into Morgan Hill, with a dream to let his kids have a huge backyard and build an 8,600 square foot house, a big house, right? And all of the adjacent landowners, it is owned by the Open Space Reserve, right? So you can't build anything on there. So he buys the land for $800,000, right? and it's 5 acres. Shortly after, the Santa Clara County supervisors create a rule that says if you own 5 acres or more, it cannot be rezoned for residential, right? It has to be used for ag or open space. So he's a smart guy. You know what he does? He donates a half acre to the county roads and roadways. So now he's at 4.6 acres. So he's not affected by that rule. So the county says, all right, well, in that case, we would like to buy the property back from you. We're going to offer, he bought it 2 years ago. They say, hey, we're going to offer you $950,000. Buy it back. He says no. So now the government comes in and says, okay, then we're just going to take your land. And so he is in the process of fighting for that. You know, I can totally see him, you know, he's like, hey, I bought the land. I have this dream. I want to build it. You know, I'm playing by the rules. But I also understand the open space authority folks and the county saying, look, we have this beautiful preserved land that is, you know, it's rare in our area, right, as we continue to develop. And we want to maintain the open space. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But yeah, eminent domain's a real thing.
Yeah, just the research that we've done, I know eminent domain is extremely hard to halt, but it's not impossible to pursue more money from them. I know in eminent domain, the government, before they just completely strip it, there's a couple different ways they can take it. Obviously, one way is providing the money for it, market value. The other way is just taking it completely off of them. I know situations where people have gone for more money off of them and continue out the lawsuit. I mean, we also see stories of, I know on Instagram a couple weeks ago, there was that one home in China that didn't want to sell, and they built city roads all around them. So situations like that, but I truly believe, like, in our area, in the United States, I mean, they're just going to strip that thing from him eventually.
Yeah,
like, it's gone.
I'm a big proponent of open space. I mean, that's the reason why we bought out there. I have one neighbor, backyard goes on for days, you know, all that stuff. And so, you know, I understand, you know, what he wants to do, and he should have the right to do that. But I also feel that prior to him purchasing that land, maybe they should have done a little more research, right, on what they, you know, what the worst case outcome could be. And so I don't know if he used a real estate agent or how he acquired the land, but certainly, you know, I hope that he was educated going into it, that this might be eminent domain might be coming for him at some point.
So can they take the land from him without paying him any money?
They can.
Ben says yes.
Yes.
Wow.
They can. They can take land,
Okay.
any airspace, and any intellectual property that's on top of it.
Wow.
Which, I mean, I don't know. If this man or some other man, woman, couple bought a parcel of land, built something on it to provide good and improve use of community, can any city just come in and be like, that's smart, we're going to utilize that and take it? Like, that's what I mean. It's a very...
It doesn't happen.
This is a backup to you of saying, like, you should have noted where you were buying into and kind of what.
Yeah, I mean, but also it doesn't happen often. I think I read last time it happened in our county was like 1972. So it's been a very long time.
Yeah.
So I'll keep you all posted and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Let me ask one more question about this. Is there a way that he can keep the land and then they buy the usage of it around him to use? It's just the full thing.
Yeah. They want the land because it's his 4.5 acres and then 1,500 acres around it.
Interesting.
Of just open space. So he would be the only house within 1,500 acres, which, hey, not cool if you're a homeowner and you want that, but you know, it's a little tough for the county to bite off. I want to transition into something actually really important that's affecting our industry. There was a huge, I'm getting calls on it, because it's all over the news, it's all over social right now. There was a huge class action settlement against National Association of Realtors and a few other real estate companies that happened in the Midwest last week, where they were found guilty of collusion, right? And they were fined $1.7 billion, but the damages are treble, which means triple. So it could be $5 billion worth of damages. And it was a class action lawsuit brought on by a smaller state. And they basically said that when you go to sell your home, the real estate industry is colluding to keep the commission rates artificially high. because the way it's structured now is when a seller signs a listing agreement with an agent, that seller agrees to pay the commission for both sides, their agent and the buyer's agent. So what's happened is, and this has been the way for almost 100 years. And so what, the attorney that brought the class action, you can look him up, does a lot of different class actions, chases a lot of money. Other real estate companies have settled before this verdict came out. But essentially they said, hey, commissions are too high. Real estate agents are colluding to keep them high, and sellers shouldn't have to pay a buyer's agent's commission. So I want to clear up a couple of things, because I saw a segment on Good Morning America yesterday where they talked about this, and my head wanted to explode. And I'm going to get some of the tape for Jacob so I can kind of counteract what she was saying, Rebecca Jarvis, who I actually like, but she got it wrong. First of all, she made it appear like commissions aren't negotiable. So for everybody listening, commissions are 100% negotiable, right? There is kind of the standard, hey, somewhere between 5 to 6% total. Absolutely negotiable. Negotiable on the listing side, negotiable on how much you want to pay the buyer's agent. And then she also said that if you don't pay a buyer's agent commission, you cannot participate in the multiple listing service, right? So you can't go on Zillow, can't go on Redfin. And again, not true. You can actually enter in a commission as low as $1, and it's transparent. You can go, and there's transparency across the board. So she's wrong on that. She also said that on a $400,000 house, the average commission is 5 to 6%, so $24,000, which is the 6%. She chose the high side, right, for shock value. But then she said, you're paying that amount to both the listing agent and the buyer's agent. That's wrong too. That commission is split, and typically it's split evenly. The last thing that she said, and she says, so how do you combat this, right? She's like, well, you could do for sale by owner, right, which...
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck with that. You can try to negotiate commissions, which absolutely a seller should. A seller should understand the value of the real estate agent that's coming to the table, what value we bring, what costs, expenses that we have that come out of that commission, and how it's broken down. And absolutely, I mean, commissions are negotiable, and they always have been. And then the last argument I want to make, and I know I kind of went long on this, but it's killing me, is she says that because we set the commissions for the buyer's agents, that buyer's agents steer buyers to the houses that pay the most commission. And she's saying that if that goes away, there's no more steering. That's not true. It's wrong. First of all, anybody that goes on to Zillow or Redfin, they can see what the buyer's agent's commission is. Mm-hmm. And I promise you, if a buyer reaches out to me and says, hey, David, I want to see this property, okay. I don't look at the commission. Well, I don't know. Depends. How much commission is it paying me?
Every single one of my buyers gets the property sent to them immediately when it hits the market, based on any commission.
Yeah,
it does not.
Whether it's $1 or 2.5%.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, right? And so I feel that there's a lot of misinformation about this verdict. Second, and just the last thing is that they're going to appeal it. It's going to go on for years. So, nothing...
I love how this industry is getting targeted for, fixed commissions, but then you can call an attorney and it's $10,000 every hour.
Yeah,
wait a second.
I know. But, there's a lot more to it, right? If a buyer's agent commission goes away, then are buyers going to cut out a buyer's agent and go straight to a listing agent? That's called double lending. That's like going to one attorney to litigate both sides of a case, right? And then the other thing with that, double lending is illegal in a lot of states. So that's not even an option.
How does a buyer even feel confident and comfortable going with a listing agent who is not going to be transparent on the other offers they have? And if they are, how many other buyers are they saying that to? So are they just going to run you up because they can? Take a step back, figure that out.
Well, a listing agent, as the name suggests, they're going to look out for the seller's best interests first.
Yeah. So, a lot more to come on that. But the main point is, just like most things in the media, they are looking for sound bites, clickbait, and that shock value to try to get viewers in. At the end of the day, if you guys have questions about commissions, they're always negotiable. Reach out to us. We're happy to break all that down for you.
Yeah, agree. kind of transitioning from that into sellers. So I have a couple sellers right now who are thinking about, in this slow time, let's start doing remodeling on our property. We'll get it ready for next year.
Okay.
Asking about a couple different finance ways of doing remodeling for sellers who are thinking about this. Two main ways. You have the equity line and the cash out refinance. Both great options. Both are going to be decided upon how you're going to pay that back and the timeline of paying that back. To give a quick summary of kind of what those are, the equity line is a second mortgage allowing homeowners to borrow against their home, which means they can draw down, pay back, draw down, and pay back for a certain amount of time. The cash out refinance allows buyers to immediately gain access to that money, but then that money transfers and gets put on the loan, which is going to be paid off and amortized over the rest of the mortgage. So when I explain to buyers this and they ask me for the recommendation, first thing I always say to them is where are you at in life and with the property? You know, how long have you owned this home? When did you buy it and what did you buy it for? And then again, like we do with the buyer side, we just work backwards to see what makes sense. But for the people out there who are considering that, those are two options. And a great person to talk to with that would be your lender and your tax advisor.
Yeah. My 2 cents on that, I would always recommend a home equity line of credit over a cash out refinance, primarily because interest rates are so high right now. I don't want to give up a 3% interest rate to pull $40,000 out, and then my entire principal balance gets rolled over at 7%. So I like the home equity line of credit. Just be careful about using your house as an ATM machine. All right, that's what got people into trouble back in 06 and 07. Because right now you're seeing a lot of lenders come out and say, well, you have your credit cards are maxed out at 29%. Just do a cash out refi because the blended interest rate is going to be lower. But like you said, now you're taking that debt, that credit card debt, adding it to your principal balance, and then dividing it over 30 years. I mean, you know, just be careful. But like you said, talk to your financial folks and your lender to figure out what's best for you.
One kind of pop-out question I got from a seller, like the rebuttal was, is there a way to get a loan for a remodel? Like,
Don't we have like a Keller mortgage program where you can get a...
But that's only if you intend to
sell it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But what if someone wanted to do it? Can they go to a bank on a remodel and say, hey, I'm going to remodel it. Can I get a separate loan?
Well, you could get a second mortgage on a house, right? Because they're going to want to securitize the loan against something. So instead of getting a HELOC, you could get a second loan, which is fixed, usually like a 10-year or something like that. You could get a 30-year
Are those
second
rates
as well.
for the are those interest rates higher or?
So remember, when you have a HELOC, the payment calculation is just straight interest, right? It's not like a principal and interest amortized loan. So a HELOC is likely going to have a lower payment, but you're not going to be paying down principal unless you pay additional each month, right? Kind of like credit card.
Got it.
It would be better to go with the HELOC so that you can pull as you go, as cash is needed for the remodel.
I agree.
Cool.
All
What
right.
you got, Skeet G?
I was reading this article sent to me by one of my clients that's in contract, trying to buy, and he's like, prices are plummeting in all these areas. So top 5 places in California where prices are plummeting. What do you think those are? Guesses?
Top 5 places where prices are tanking.
Mostly NorCal.
And this is all of California or just NorCal?
I think it's all of California, but the top 5 are from NorCal.
Well, it's probably yeah. I mean, I see your list, so I won't let it slip. But it is typically, like you said at the beginning of the podcast today, it's those outlying areas.
It is, yeah. So first one on the list is Dublin. Second is Truckee. Third is East Palo Alto. Fourth is San Francisco. Fifth is Palo Alto. And then the others are also like
Wasn't
outlier
San
areas.
Francisco on the list of like the most expensive rental or most expensive?
Well,
Mark
no,
had a list
that
last week that had San Francisco on like a top 5.
It might have been cost of living or something, but
Interesting.
But no, San Francisco. I actually just ran into an agent that used to work for me that works up in San Francisco now, and she said you wouldn't believe the amount of agents that are getting out of the business up in San Francisco because nothing's moving. There is some movement on the high end side now because prices have come down a bit, but if you have a condo in San Francisco, like forget about it. You just rent it out and wait for things to come back. So. You read that stuff about like death spiral and things like that. San Francisco definitely has some challenges. Still a great city, but it's got a ways to go. So I definitely believe San Francisco. And then those outlying areas, the Dublin, Pleasanton.
All the places people moved to during COVID and now coming back.
Truckee is a good one. Truckee
Yeah.
was on fire last year. All those people doing second homes, they're trying to Airbnb because you couldn't Airbnb in South Lake Tahoe anymore. And so Truckee was like the next hot spot. So I'm not surprised that area is dropping as well.
Absolutely, and my listing in Folsom, like that was a hot area too. Like last year, people were paying 200,000-300,000 over, and from the builder buying it at 135, selling it for 1.6, and now things are changing.
Yep.
But also Airbnbs up there were like $500 a day.
It's interesting when you see Airbnbs go on sale because they damn near sell it as an Airbnb. Like there's no, in the disclosures is all financials of how to continue that Airbnb.
Oh,
continue the it's in some areas I think it's a lot. Obviously, it's a lot more popular than it's here, but yeah, we have a property we're staying at in Arizona for a buddy's bachelor party. Went to send the link to the group. It's for sale right now on Zillow. I'm like, oh.
Hopefully they don't sell it before your bachelor party.
Do you think?
How do you handle showings?
That's what I was saying. You'd have to block time out, I guess.
Yeah.
Book a day.
Book a day.
All right.
A quick buyer beware before we head out of here. Buyer beware. Whether you're thinking about buying a home, you're in the process of buying a home, or especially in the escrow process in contract for a home, do not go and buy a car. Many people feel like since they have their approval and everything's locked in, we're going after it, we know how much it's going to cost, we can afford this. That's not how it works. You buy a car, unless it's all cash, you buy a car, it's going to hit your credit right there. If you buy a car, you're going to have a loan. That's going to show up when the lender runs your information. Your loan to debt ratio is going to be a lot different. A good example of not buying a car would be in contract. Your approval can bounce once it gets to underwriting, and you can end up not getting a loan for that house. So any buyer out there thinking about making a big purchase in the process of buying or in the process of securing a home, just wait.
Yeah, in fact, that's a great point. And quickly, we recommend no large purchases, no new credit cards, and don't quit or change your job.
Even if you're on the selling side. I remember we had a seller a couple years ago, I believe, on this team, and they ended up buying a Ferrari. And when we showed up, I think close to the close, they had the Ferrari parked out front. Never want to jinx something. You never, unless you're fully secured or you're doing it in cash, I would not recommend, like you said, even a large vacation.
Don't spend it before you get it.
Exactly.
Gotcha. All right, so the last thing I want to bring up, December 7th, we are doing our Fantasy of Lights in Los Gatos at Visona. We have 66 tickets. And just like last year, we're going to do the coffee cart out here. Santa Claus is going to make an appearance. Elf will be here as well. And so for our clients and good friends, look for the link for that coming up. And if you don't get the link, just reach out to one of us and we'll get you guys plugged in there. But other than that, I appreciate you guys holding it down with me today. And we'll see y'all next time.
See you.
See you.